fairly good Vertigo team. So, okay, we're going to push it to Dust 2. And then the veto comes, and Dust 2 is just not even being played. Like, with that all in mind, the fact that they pick it so much that it's their best map in the pool, I reckon Entropiq would have done a lot of prep for Dust 2 and then found, hang on a second, it's Mirage. And it's actually one of the least played maps in the pool for Entropiq, so it's definitely a punish pick.
Yeah, you got to look at the statistics for what Entropiq have done recently and what they've been able to have on that Dust 2 map up and realize that Big might not be in the best of places when it comes to picking into that one, but with only 2 seconds to go in our matchup, we're about ready to jump into our first map of the day, our first matchup of the stream. Entropiq taking on Big for our first qualifying best of 3 for IEM Dallas. Entropiq on the T side start as you would expect, and they are just going to charge straight up and into that B site, wasting no time dishing out damage to tabseN and tiziaN. It's Krad with that opening duel, alien following suit onto tiziaN to finish off the job against him, and there's a 5 versus 3 immediately gained by Entropiq. You mentioned the strength on this map for them, and you can see it right here.
Well, if you wanted to create a picture when it comes to confidence, this is it. Send it straight in towards that B site, get the smoke down towards that cave entrance, and just take deep map control. Take as many fights as possible. The backstab does get not caught off, though. Crimbo's able to deal with Forrester.
Yeah, 3v3 scenario. Big brought this back to manageable scenarios. Kito's going to try and look for a decent kill on Nickelback. He sees the shoulder as well. Taps alongside his teammates. They combine to get the casualty. So now it's Big on the front foot as Lackey also gets caught. Alien left alone. Can't hit a headshot as Kito makes it a double up and Crimbo will find the defuse. It's a pistol round for Big.
And if anyone's maybe unsure of where Crimbo kind of came from, this was a player that played on Big Academy in 2 different occasions. I think he made his name a little bit more in the Tier 2 atmosphere, Jay, when he was playing on that alternate attacks lineup, going over to Koana, playing with guys like Skrunk, and then having the opportunity of coming up into the fold. And as of recently, he's been playing really well, especially in clutch situations where they needed to step up. And him on the backstab was the winning element to that round.
Yeah, big way to train. Of course, Big being pushed so far back early. Entropiq just full send into that B site. You mentioned the confidence to set things up in this pistol, and you would have thought off the back of that 5v3 that would have been enough, but no. Big still hanging in there, still doing all that they can. Set up towards the default. It's a lot more slower kind of round this time for Entropiq.
And notice with this force buy, they get the bomb down, so they get the extra money to work with. They don't opt to go for any SMGs. So that's going to make it quite light when it comes to the utility standpoint, with all those Galils out, with the scout involved. So a lot of the peaks and map control being gained is going to have to be a lot drier in the approach for Entropiq.
Just slow walk-ins for the time being. Very little damage done to Krad at 94 points of HP. You could almost call it unscathed. Scout of Alien watching out, seeing the nades coming his way, of course smartly evading that. More chip damage done to Entropiq, but very little still definitive in the way of the advantages for both Big and Entropiq. Finally, Forrester forces one out, tabseN falls.
Oh, what a timing that is. Just when that re-smoke goes down to the ramp angle, they can have a slight aggression, a slight walk up to catch the position. And now you can see the over-rotate coming through from Big, ending up potentially with 3 on B, leaving the sole A player in from Donut of Quito. And for Entropiq, they've got so much time to work with to silently get back outside of A main.
Yeah, 38 seconds to push forward, and a donut position really being the only thing defended on the part of Quito. Smoked off from middle, so they have to focus entirely on the site itself. Back up there, and CSGO might also get forced in, siphon out from that mid-control. And they've got the right read here, suspecting that they are going to go in towards the main position and just hold down the site as a result. Forrester, first man into the site. Nickelback right behind him. 16 seconds. Time is of the essence. And the bomb plant, if it gets denied right here, 1-for-1 trade on Quito and Nickelback. And Forrester catches tiziaN. Krad with a lurk out towards window will get dealt with, but a 3v2 scenario still favors the T side, and Big just going to back away.
That's a massive kill from Forrester, and that was not easy at all for him to find his second. You're not going to pre-aim that right-hand side position as soon as you enter in towards Temple, and he's able to catch the reaction. A slight whiff there coming through from tiziaN, and just think about the position of what would have happened if that kill doesn't come through. More time gets wasted, maybe the bomb doesn't go down at all. It buys further rotations to come through from that city spawn area. So Forrester making that hero play of the second kill down on A secured the round.
Yes, then we'll turn around for the Entropiq side, of course, going up to 1-to-1 on the board. Big not allowed to take control of the pistol and conversions, and of course saving these rifles is going to be vitally important to them because they'll have no money. Entropiq won't get away completely free. Of course, Forrester did fall, so that's 3 casualties in a row here. And with Big on the force buy, it could still send us into a bit of a war of attrition.
It definitely could do, just going back and forth until we get away from that anti-eco potential with the money state or a couple of rounds being won in a row. You got to wonder here for Big, knowing that they're slightly more limited with the buy, that they don't have as many rifles to work with like they did previously. There might be some more aggression. We haven't really seen them fighting for map control too much around that lane portion just yet.
Two players will start to occupy that angle in the form of Nickelback and Krad. Krad in particular just storming straight up towards tabseN. Knowing the CTs don't have the best spawn in the world, so he just takes control of that, and tabseN is forced into that cave entrance, has the smoke to try and suppress, but backs up even further to the B defense.
Krad is always a nuisance in and around this cheater lane position, cutting off rotates, catching mistakes, anyone getting slightly aggressive, so keep an eye out for him on T side for getting a lot of damage around this position. Even for Entropiq, slow playing it out from the elbow position, looking to go into window into donut, not really making a lot of noise, being silent in the approach.
It's been just as slow as that previous round, which did work out better for them than the rush tactic, so it's respectable that they go for this. Big trying to regain some ground, though. Crimbo with a smoke up a little bit deep into the cave entrance position. tabseN, P250 just blind firing down towards that mid control. Can't quite find Lackey or anyone else for that matter. Again, not a lot of info, not a lot of vision to play from, so they just hold their standard positions, and Entropiq will run the timer down again.
They are baiting a lot of this util from Big, which is really going to help on the site execution to start sending it in towards B. Two players to work with. Crimbo's got to try multi-frag just to give them an edge to work with.
CSGO Scout seeing what damage he can do. Smoked off, so not going to be allowed vision onto the B sites. Incendiaries set up for Crimbo. Might put that down a little bit far out from Nickelback's plant position, and it comes in late anyway, so Nickelback and Krad are allowed to escape. Krad actually re-aggresses here. Very far up close towards the smoke. Meanwhile, tabseN does find Nickelback, but doesn't quite get the kill. Keto with a trade back, doubles up towards Krad. Alien with a scout to respond, and a 3-on-3 with the backstab also closing in from tiziaN. Keep your eyes on that minimap, because he can become very important, but no, Forrester shuts him down. Crimbo on the boost, gets two, however. He's a difference maker. It's all on Alien. Taps up, trying to see if he can look for a decent kill. Crimbo will fall. Low HP on CSGO the same. Scout on scout action. Neither player can really force out the duel, and Alien knows that he's got time on his side. Will land that flick in the end, get the lead for Entropiq.
That's the Alien we know and love, right? Always delivering with the scoped-in weapons, whether it be a Scout, even an AWPer. He's a player that has not really found a massive amount of success so far in the qualifier, actually, Jay. 26th highest-rated player, averaging an 0.98 rating. So if he can be a difference maker and an impact player come here on Ancient, that could be a big up for Entropiq, and he proved it right there in the 1v2.
Yeah, now standard eco set in for Big right here. USPs across the board. No Kevlar, only a tiny amount of utility in the flashbang for Crimbo's part, so just really nothing to work with of any sort. See if Krad can insert, get a Mac 10 to farm up some cash. Call it there, easy as, make it a simple third round for Entropiq. By all accounts, it should be that way.
Hey, you'd have to imagine so. The only way that Big can do some decent damage in a round like this is if they're able to bait a lurk forward into that candles position. Set that trap up to siphon off an individual, recover a weapon if at all possible.
And just standard stuff in from the Entropiq side for the time being. Big, super passive. Stack in the mid control, seeing nothing at all from the Entropiq side. The Mac 10 try and lead that charge again, knowing that they must be on eco status. Indeed, they see them popping out towards that mid control. Lucky takes a lot more damage than he might have bargained for. And Crimbo catches two dinks on Krad, so there's a frag. Lucky trades, looks for a second, and doesn't manage to do so. But Crimbo and tiziaN is still trading. Crimbo finally forced out on the backside. 2v2 scenario, so Big have done damage at the very least in this eco round. Grabbing a Galil here, it might not be impossible that tiziaN could force out the clutch.
This is wild. This is so winnable for Big. Alien watching through from that smoke can now establish the crossfire. Know that that spam came through from tiziaN in from cave, so they've got the information of where it could be. Another re-smoke's just going to waste further time, and now this gets really tricky.
Yeah, tiziaN's got no kit, so not got a whole lot of time at this stage. Taking one more exit frag might be enough. I mean, they've already done quite a hefty amount of damage here. The time's way too far ticked at this stage. tiziaN's got no chance. Trying to pop out the last second winner fight against Nickelback. Chase down Alien, might even keep him within the bomb blast radius. Sees him, tags him, kill comes in, and Alien will just about escape with his life. But 4 casualties on a harsh eco. Big can be proud of themselves.
Yeah, that's a sloppy round for Entropiq, and while it gives them a third, they're not going to be happy about that, because it does open up the instant reset potential. Try and have a look at the money in the float. Krad close towards $1,000. Nickelback less, Forrester less, Lackey less as well. So the only one that's really got sufficient money come the next round, if they're not able to find another conversion, is iTziaN.
He's on the AWP for this next round, though, saving that rifle, passing off to a teammate, and getting shut down by tiziaN's AWP immediately in the main control. Trying to charge forward, tiziaN caught off guard by a Molotov and Forrester, so their trades are effective for the Entropiq side. A 4-on-4 scenario for the time being, and nade damage being done to Forrester leaves Entropiq in a bit more of an awkward scenario. They did start things off on the right foot.
Handled well, though, for Entropiq. When you think about dealing with an over-aggressive AWP, you get the trade out. Crimbo now going for an info search, clearing out Krad, but the Krad still wins the fight from there. How was that possible?
It's not a bad question, one that we certainly can't answer right now. tabseN getting out of dodge. He tried to get re-peek and get the trade together, but he's got to be careful. He has backup right behind him in k1to, and those players will combine, spraying through the wood wall, hoping they can catch another tag against the T-side member, but not to be at this moment.
iTziaN's watching.
Walk forward. Yeah, he's ready for this. Shots are not connecting. k1to wins an unlucky fight of himself. Sees Krad to 22 HP. Can't quite get the shoulder shot. Knows that he's there somewhere. Spray bursts through and Krad will finally fall. Forrester picked up by tiziaN as a lurk out towards main on the A side. And Nickelback rotating into mid in a 1v3 scenario. Might even get flanked out from window. He's expecting tabseN there. Sees the head. Does win that one good fight. Where does he go from here?
He's got plenty of options, but needs to get a move on. If he could smoke off towards that right-hand side, isolate the 1v1, get himself back into A, instead thinking about going B.
Making a lot of noise as well. Knife pulled out. k1to's ready for it. Gets that kill and denies anything left in the round for Entropiq. A second to the board of big at last. And now you can see what that damage on the eco is going to do to the economy state for Entropiq.
They didn't do a lot wrong there at all, Jay. They will be very miffed at that. They did so much right. The fact that Krad, even getting pre-aimed, is able to get that kill, and then you've got the AWP that gets recovered. Lackey on the angle, it's a sitter. And unfortunately, it doesn't come through. And as soon as that mistake gets punished, look at how the end of the round finishes. Big just capitalized completely.
We'll see what the force buy is going to look like for Entropiq right here. MAC-10 and AK being the only two automatic weapons. Deagles and Tech-9s outside of that. Lane control being gained by Big. Now there's only really one place that Entropiq could be set up towards. Outside of the A site, back behind main and elbow. Positions held. They have got a little bit of utility. Two smokes that can go to smoke off the entryways towards A site. Leave one of them open and storm there. Or the two back lanes over at B. That's also an option. But those are really the only two options for the execution.
Keep in mind for Entropiq, against the Copenhagen Flame side yesterday on Ancient, that was their map pick. They started T side, managed 4 rounds, Jay, went into the second half and still won the map.
A chance to try and take control of the situation right here, for Big at least. Smokes down towards that mid position, trying to see if they can pull someone for a loop out here, but with that player tiziaN being so far pushed up, he knows that it might all be a ruse here. Smokes set in. Lackey does get the kill on tiziaN. Crimbo trades back on iTziaN though. Doesn't win the fight against the AK. Now it's the M4 back here from tabseN. Winning out that first duel. Blind spraying through the smoke, not catching much of anything. A backstab in from Lackey could get a little bit dicey. I don't think k1to's ready for it. The AK is pulled out. He's checking CT though. Caught looking the wrong way. Lackey brings in the advantage for Entropiq again, but tiziaN held at donor. Only good for one trade, so tabseN left alone for the 1v2.
A lot of space being created there from Lackey, having that deep dive into candles, and now with tabseN even with his knife out, deals with Lackey, and Nickelback's got a clutch.
And that's a 1v1, 3k up for tabseN if he wins this fight. Is he aware of where Nickelback is? He certainly is now, but Nickelback will still win that fight. Bring in the 4th round for Entropiq. And these rounds have come very down to the wire so far.
Yeah, they really have it. It's been quite a tight game, even with the scoreline showing 4-2. A lot of close rounds, economy getting shattered from both of these teams, and Nickelback stepping up in that 1v1 to make that round possible. And funny enough, Jay, you wouldn't normally think about Nickelback posting the crazy numbers. He's the highest rated player this entire close qualifier in EU. How insane is that? The in-game leader of Entropiq.
Well, he has had his moments in the past couple of years. But yeah, not like you expect that on a consistent basis. Whether that's a short-term victory and a long-term concern is yet to be seen, or whether it's vice versa is also yet to be seen. Right now for this side, they're making the best of it. He's one of the two second top fraggers for Entropiq, and iTziaN's actually leading the charge at this moment in time. Those numbers set to extend against more pistols out from Big. Another harsh eco for the CT side. Without much site presence as well. Forrester and Lucky got the best reads. Checking back site, checking in from Donut. And Secure a line in for that bomb to get planted as the engagement does go a little bit awkwardly for the AK, but he does win the first fight and that second. A is completely opened up.
Yeah, they've noticed last time against the anti-eco, when they played mid and over towards B, they just got really wrecked. They ended up losing so many players. So this time around, okay, let's maybe have some adjustments with the protocols. They haven't really been playing anyone on A on the anti-ecos, so let's have a slow walk, let's have a contact play, see if we're running into a stack at all. And what ends up happening is not only does Forrester get both players towards Donut, he clears out Temple, and that's just so much information to work with to bring that bomb over to A.
Yeah, the overwhelming force of the AK firepower. 5 to the board of Entropiq, leaning by 3 rounds above Big. AWP here on tiziaN. He brought out something that Entropiq don't have access to just yet. They kept all 5 players alive, so they'll play 5 bonus weapons. Like Galil and that MAC-10 obviously being the main outliers to the situation, but they're not as terrible as one might assume. No head Kevlar for Big in this one. tabseN with the blind sprays, however, catching the wallbang shot on Krad and kicking things off in round 8.
Even though they put the early door smoke down, they didn't put a molly behind it, so it gave a lot of room for Entropiq to work with out from the lane portion. Just a pop flash set up to come straight out towards that ramp angle. Crimbo still playing out from dark, waiting for those crossfires to get established, and they're finding them between them.
Yeah, Trade still looking at a 3-on-2, favourable to the CT side. tiziaN was blind firing through the wallbang position. Keto is going to get overwhelmed by sheer force forward by Forrester. 2 kills in the round, 10 so far in this matchup. He takes the frag leader, and tiziaN giving away his position by making noise of the scope and the footsteps. Will try peek in, try catch off one. He's seen Alien's shoulder and catches him. Down to a 1v1 again, but Forrester has full domain of the A sites.
I think we need to get a tally, Jay, on just how many 1v1s have been set up so far here on Ancient. Another situation that's coming through. This time around for tiziaN, he's on low HP, on 36. It's going to be tough to work with.
It's making noise to try to sell the fact that he's going back towards mid. I think Forrester's a little bit out of hearing range, though. Either way, he's not adjusting at forward plat. Waiting for the contact to come through, waiting for that info to be given up by tiziaN. It's Orb checking back of Temple, checking center of sight. He hasn't got a kit, and I think he realizes that rotation, that fake, took a little too much time away from Big here. So this will be 6 for Entropiq as the save is called up, and this T side has gone swimmingly here.
And there's 2 ways of looking at it from Entropiq's POV. You're up 6-2 on T side, that's fantastic. Then there's also the side of, geez, these rounds have been close. We're actually getting just scraping by with some of these 1v1s, but it's making sure you capitalize on the rounds that are winnable. And this is what they've been able to do so far in the first half. Yes, there is that whole conversation of it does limit your economy flow, and it doesn't mean it's the cleanest of games. The scoreline shows Entropiq are leading by far, and this is good for the future when it comes to this map in general.
Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of people usually rate the CT side so highly when it comes to this individual map here, and I think Big recognises the same. Tactical pause, because so far it's not quite been good enough. And for a series as well that has consistently delivered 16-10 maps or above, like the way this is playing out, it might not end up sticking to tradition. 4 rounds to separate, and they have got that AWP saved in, but not enough cash to really buy around it here, so it's probably going to end up being a half-buy investment. They've got quite a decent amount of loss bonus on max, in fact. Yeah, 5-7, P250, Deagle's in, Kevlar to boot, down to 1.5k minimum. It's not exactly the best of buys, but they don't really have much of a choice either. Entropiq quickly into this round, and tiziaN's Orb trying to see if he can change that narrative. Nades towards the position, Keto caught off first. 1 Orb kill found against Krad, nothing more than that. Alien with a quick trade, and once again, A has been busted open.
If there's one avenue of approach here for Entropiq that we can highlight and praise the most, it's the trading game. How sick have some of their trades been on this T side, always backing each other up well, having good spacing between one another, and without that AWP in play now, it means that the Deagles can't really do much.
Yeah, Molotovs suppress them. 5-7, just try, press forward if you can find anything, but they're just locked out of the site so deep into CT spawn and mid. And eventually they will just start to fall away. Let's try save the Kevlar at this stage. They can't grab the AWP, obviously. And Krad's weapon was also dropped deep in towards main, so it's just been marked off. There's nothing that Big can get anything else in this round. Again, half-buy status for max loss bonus, so we've got loads of cash inbound for the next round. That's where Big can really buy up. But it's a case of finding success. We're talking about potential in these ecos bases in terms of these half-buys. Now they've got to convert. Now they've got to get around itself.
You have to remember, this is a middle-of-the-pack map for Big. They've been able to win it 4 times, 3 losses in the last 3 months. They even played it in the open qualifiers against Blue Jays out in those quarterfinals. They're on a 3-map winning streak of Ancient. So to see them down here at 2-7, they know we've got to put our foot down. We've got to be able to find a response quickly, because if they're not able to build up enough of a repertoire in this first half, it could just be over from there.
Well, early tags coming in from round 10 onto tiziaN as the utility default set in. Smokes down from the CT side will try to block off the B doors. And Krad trying to flash forward to gain control, at least to force the CTs away from lane. They haven't taken lane control. They've just been suppressing Entropiq from taking it themselves. And you can see how that's worked for them. The passive lines are probably the most passive you can get on the T side.
That's probably the most passive that we've seen from them this map so far. Entropiq have normally been brute forcing a lot of the map control, whether it be out from elbow, whether it be into lane, or even out to that A main portion, always constantly fighting for the forward. This time around, though, they're giving the respect to Big.
Crimbo walking forwards here. It's Krad and Nickelback to walk in themselves. Scope was heard, so Crimbo starts falling away. How many players is he ready for? tabseN also on position. Is that gun barrel sticking out? It certainly seems like it might be. Crimbo tries to strike on the trade, but only gets 1. So that's 3 in turn for Entropiq, of 4 versus 2. And this time it's B that's been opened up.
Yeah, we've definitely seen consistently, anytime Big are going for info plays, they're normally getting punished. Think about that play from Crimbo a few rounds ago where he gets aggressive out to ramp. Krad deals with him. This time around, you've got Crimbo and you've got tabseN trying to make a move, to sandwich down, to make it uncomfortable for the T's getting out of the doors. And what happens? They get 1 kill onto Nickelback, and that's it, Jay.
And just decimating force forward for Entropiq. 8 to the board. They've won the T half, and they've let no man survive for Big. No prisoners gained, no save allowed. A second tactical called in by Big, an appropriate time to do so because they have not had any luck for a very long time.
Yeah, Forrester's having a game too. Typically speaking, averages about 3rd in the team for the highest rating in the last 3 months on Ancient, puts up a 1.16. Typically, he's having a lot of impact. Trading frags, opening man advantages, kills in and around the ramp position in particular is where he's finding the majority of them up towards that B side. And Entropiq, while maybe the first 5-6 rounds of the game were quite close, there were a couple of 1v1s, it was competitive, these last few rounds haven't been that at all.
Yeah, and this CT side has not been that at all. 8-2, Entropiq in full control of this situation, and it's another half buy for Big, of course. No save weapon this time, so no chance the AWP can find an opening pick. And this has not been Big's day at all. Entropiq happy to play out the exact same strategy they've been doing so far in this map up because it's been working. There's no need to fix anything. P50 of tabseN does get a dink off on Nickelback. That's a decent start. But he still gets away with the kill on the T side, and Elian follows suit to Crimbo. So now he's down. It's all left to tiziaN on the back of the B site. And whilst they aren't quite ready for the push, surely it's not long before he's taken out the same.
Just a lot of consistency in the defaults with success when it comes to Entropiq. You've got Nickelback up there in window finding damage. The HE placement towards the aggressive ramp hold is also very good onto Crimbo. He's been playing around that area quite a lot in this first half, and Entropiq is starting to get those reads. What they might not know about is still 2 more players out on B.
Rotations inbound from Big to try to stack up that B site. A 3rd man here to join the fray. Keto coming in from the back of short. And Nickelback might be the next main concern for the T side, given the low HP he's on. But the AK's a Forrester can strike CSGO, only good for 1 trade. Keto up close and personal. Backing out towards the wood corner. Will this go check? The Molotov certainly will check it. Taps up, damage done, no kill. 9-2, Entropiq looking good.
And even though this is still very early into the upper bracket final, Jay, it just feels like a bit of a resurgence here from Entropiq. They did really well in the group stage of Pro League, but went out early in the playoffs, didn't qualify to the RMR, would have been devastated in that one, having a lot of close games, but only managing a single win. And now they come here, they've got the opportunity of qualifying to Dallas, and it's been a win over Fnatic, a win over Copenhagen Flames, and this is the kind of start on T's side. Ancient, their map pick.
I mean, look, it is their map pick, so there's always that to sort of consider. You mentioned how strong it is, how consistent it is for Entropiq. Right now, we're seeing that in full display. Rifles brought back in for Big here. Of course, that last round was a pistol basis, a half bite. Only one kit in play for this one. Heavily limited utility sets off the back of the early defaults. Another smoke being used by Crimbo. His last one on that B side. Only one's there for Keto and tabseN. Spread out across the rest of the map. Entropiq just... They know what they can do here. Put two smokes down towards mid because they can afford to do so. Flashes at the ready to get themselves in the entries. Keto does land two frags out of elbow. Okay, that's a little bit better. Big coming into their own now with a third frag on Krad and two players left for Entropiq.
Yeah, they just needed someone individually to show up, and Keto's that guy, being able to jiggle peek down towards elbow. They've got a crossfire set in lane 2, so as soon as a couple of casualties fall, you then have to walk forward from Krad trying to get out of the doors to open up some space to be able to capitalize on any over peaks or any repositions, and instead they've now got to try and recover a 2v5.
Yeah, Forrester and Alien at least strike back on Keto. Forrester took a ton of damage and wasn't ready for tabseN as well in that cubby corner, so it's all left to Alien. 13 kills. It felt like he had a quiet game, but now he's going to get loud against tabseN. Great pick. Flashbang forward, re-peeking in towards the ramp position. See the AWP of the CT side, and now ready for the backstab. 16 seconds if he goes in towards that A side. He's not going to have enough time to get the bomb down. What a shot that is. Back into B, though. No time left. He might just have to save the weapon. I think he recognizes that himself. He's still charging forward, but finally backs away. A couple of impressive exit frags for Alien, but it doesn't lead to a recovery. No clutch. And no 10th round for Entropiq yet.
It makes a lot of sense of what he tried to achieve there, because he just knows, I'm not winning the round, let's look for damage. There is so much economy on that T-side line. Even if he dies after time, doesn't matter. They're going to still get rifles. There's only a few more rounds to play out with this first half. So cripple the money stake. Make it uncomfortable. Make it uneasy for Big that they can't recover a lot of those T-side weapons, that they can't keep money alive. Reinvest back into round 13 and try and see if you can break the banks again.
Despite Big winning that round, the FAMAS out for tabseN, really demonstrating what that damage could do. Nades up, damage under the T sideline as Nickelback gets fragged out first. tabseN with a follow-up kill. Fast rush into the B side like they did in the pistol round, but it's getting picked apart by Big this time. Alien on 9 HP, decimated by the nade. A minute and 34 left on the clock, and Big take an easy fourth.
Yeah, so it probably comes down there to the mentality of they probably don't have a crazy amount of util, especially incendiaries. Let's try and hit it hard. Let's try and hit it really quick with the acceleration. And I give full credit there to Big with a flash assist. Just notice how many flashes were coming over to help out those B-side players. And of course for tabseN that was playing on the site, he ends up with a triple.
And it's the first tactical being brought in by Entropiq in this map up. Big took 2 to get themselves to this position. Now the T side are getting one of their own. Still got a couple of rounds left and a half. The money's still pretty good for them, so they can afford the buy as you would expect. But it would be lovely for them if they could take it to 11-4, because we were definitely on for that scoreline, or more so about 2 rounds ago. It's taken Big a very long time to come back into their own, but here they stand.
And just knowing that from Big's perspective, last 3 months, they average a round win percentage on CT side of 70.6, and they've managed 4 rounds. So in Entropiq's POV, if they can get to double digits, that might just be enough to get into the second half and to take this map one-sidedly.
The smoke set, AK charging in, M4 for Keto, trying to look for Krad. Not quite spotting him though. The fire from his teammate is going to draw attention into Cheetah, so Krad might even completely ignore Keto if he's not ready for it. It all depends on timing and positioning and where this player looks. The smokes are about to fade. Flash in from the T side and Keto gets caught. Kill found by Krad. Important start look back towards elbow, but can't deal with tiziaN. A 4 versus 4 and he backs off into donut.
Entropiq were very late to be able to reface out there from that elbow position, and it just gives breathing room for tiziaN to fall back. He's still very aggressive though.
He gets that kill for it, looks in for another one, but no. Forrester trains it and they keep things at even. Maybe a bit too hungry there for tiziaN in the mid control. Even man standing. Now CSGO set to hold the A site on his lonesome. Rotations will be extremely slow. He needs to get at least a kill, and Forrester is the first victim. All important pick back. Trying to get into the smoke in the midst of the Molotov. Herd tagged to 30, 28. In fact, nades to 14 HP. It's not looking good, but backup has arrived. Nickelback blind, but so is CSGO to the flashbang. And Nickelback can get that kill. Tag up tabseN. Look into the 2 versus 2 and try and gain some map control. Force Big back for the moment and even extend to catch the man. Crimbo stands alone.
We've seen what Nickelback's been able to do with some of these A-takes. Backstab in from Crimbo. Has to try and be quick to deny the bomb if at all possible.
He slows things down, so it's no longer possible. Alien's Orb looking on towards main, where the AK is going to pop out, and he lands that shot, not looking to miss, equalizing the Forrester frag count to 17 apiece between those two players. And 10 to the board of Entropiq. They finally hit double digits.
You just think there for Big. If they just would have played further back passive and given more time for Crimbo to get in towards a backstabbing position in A main, that the AWP falls back towards CT and regroups, they have man advantage there. They had a 3v2. And because tiziaN was playing around Temple so aggressively and taking all that nade damage, that was such a simple kill for Nickelback.
Now it's around 15, the last of the half. Entropiq have their AKs a standard of 5-7 for k1to, though, being the weakened weapon, trying to push forward into main. Gets some sort of kill out of it, and indeed Forrester, with an awkward spray, gives up the opening. Molotov's down, and k1to can't grab that AK. Smart call there for the Entropiq player. Another CT's also aggressed in at the B lane angle. That's Crimbo. tiziaN's AWP strikes out and does get another good pick back, and Crimbo strikes it on Krad. So once again, it looks like Big will end the half with some decency here. Nickelback will try to get the trade. Could line up two of them, but tabseN trades. So it's all on Elian in the 1v4. Has got to go for the clutch this time. That scope may have been heard. The flash is coming in against the Molotovs. He's got to make his way into the B site.
Very well achieved from Big with that counter-aggression towards that lane portion. And now for Elian, over to the rifle. Do you reckon there's magic in the air here, Jay?
Well, he got two impressive shots in the last 1v4 that he found. Of course, it wasn't quite the full-on clutch itself. A lot more time to play with this time, though. Peeking into windows, got tiziaN to deal with first. Not checking the angle at the right time, so Big will close out the half. Down by 5 at 10-5. Then as we head to the break, they've got their tiziaN. By 5 with Entropiq up on their CT side here, Dweg. The outlook doesn't look good for the German side. What do they have to do to turn this around?
Oh, they've got to get off to a positive start. It's got to be with this pistol, and just knowing this could be the way in. This could be the success forward. Forrester and Elian were the two guys to watch out for in the last half. I would expect the same. A slow walk coming forward. Lucky overextending. Thinking about taking this duel with the USP outside of Donut. It's a struggle. Oh my goodness, his teammate's baiting him here.
And it almost cost them the frag right here. Lucky down to 53 HP. tabseN with the P250 eventually forces out that 1v1, but Lucky wins that fight. Entropiq, at long last, kick things off after a scrappy little duel in the mid control. Nickelback now sees players inbound from K, flashes in from his teammate to try and force them away as they make their way forward. Nickelback with that kill. Krad sees two, gets one. Aware of at least one more other player as k1to drops the bomb. It's tiziaN alone in the 1 versus 5 for what will be the most magical pistol clutch in this match possible. It's not going to happen. Krad with a 3k, and Entropiq, they win the pistol. Win condition 1, failed by Big.
Yeah, and just look at the protocol there for Entropiq. That was a hard bait. Forrester had all the opportunity in the room to overpeak, but it would have given away the setup. They had 3 on A in that situation, and they wanted to try and drive Big into the stack. Instead, it means that Krad and Nickelback, the lone 2B defenders, pressure starts building, and Krad comes out massively. He was a guy that we didn't see much of in that first half, Jay. With a triple, he could be right back in the game.
It's not like he really needs to be with the numbers that Forrester and Elian are putting up alongside Nickelback, as you mentioned earlier on during this matchup. But any good performances from any one individual on Entropiq will be absolutely accepted, especially if it gets them around like it did there on the pistol. Big down to the harsh eco. No bomb plant bonus means absolutely no buy here.
And just think about some of the previous results for Big on Ancient. In Pro League against godsend, 16-4. In the Open Qualifiers against Blue Jays, a 16-8. When it comes to Saw in the RMR, a 16-5. Not really being challenged at all when it comes to Ancient. And this time around, it has been completely flipped over. Entropiq have the opportunity now of going 12-5 up. And for Krad, he's playing out on B, but if he can get involved with farming some cash, that would really help him out.
Sprays through from Forrester, gets his 2 kills. Crimbo with at least 1 trade back. Nickelback up against tiziaN, removes him from play. Keto and Crimbo are the last 2 players left in this round. We'll get losing the bomb there for Crimbo on the jump face. And Keto just looking for anything else he can to escape the round with at least another casualty to try and keep the economy as limited as possible for Entropiq. So not really much left in it overall for Big. This was expected. This was a harsher Rico. They look for the guns in round 18. Entropiq look for a 12-5 scoreline and possibly even further beyond. Big losing grip of this map and losing their chances to make Ancient look decent here. Keto finally swings, sees Nickelback, overwhelmed by Krad at the CT crossfire. Easy picks, easy 12.
And typically, Jay, when we look in a matchup like this, we like to look at the history, right? The head-to-heads and what's kind of going on. Ancient's never been played. We don't have an Ancient in a head-to-head between Entropiq and Big. So to see this sort of result, and then keep in mind, the last time they played each other in January, they knocked Big out of the FunSpark Ulti tournament in that lower bracket final, did not give him an opportunity to go further on, and Mirage got played, and that got won. This is just so positive for Entropiq.
Well, there's more details to pick into that map up when we get to it. It doesn't seem like it will be too long before we get to that particular map up, so stay tuned. Entropiq, only 4 rounds to go before they are able to win Ancient their own map pick and look towards the rest of the series against Big. Incendiary set. The guns, of course, are out for the Big side as they try and bring back the comeback. A long way to go on this stage, and with tabseN falling to Nickelback, that's not a positive start here. Frag found. He might even be dipping in for more here. Lackey got also engagements out towards this donut angle, hearing footsteps. tiziaN isolated, but he wins that fight.
Now, Forrester getting drawn further forward, already got tiziaN taking the map control deep towards City Spawn, knows that he has to keep fighting to give themselves leverage on A and some lot of hold. Doesn't quite happen at all, so now you just think about opting for the save, bring those M4s into the next round. A lot of pace coming through there from Big towards Spawn and from Donut. I like the pressure that got built up there.
Yeah, they might have lost that opening frag, but you talk about the trade potential for Entropiq on that T side. It's a similar story for Big in their first gun round. 4-on-2 situation, forcing Nickelback and Elian to save. No choice in the matter. No real way back into the round. Not enough time to get back into the round either. Maybe if they had gone for it, they could have caught tiziaN and Keto and maybe got those trades at the back of low HP. They are in the entryways at CT and main, so in theory that's a possibility, even if it is unlikely. But opting against those options and opting for the safer save call. So Big will get there first in the half. And their first look into the T side, their first opportunity at the comeback. Still a long way to go. Those 6 rounds will make the difference.
Yeah, this could be a slight wake-up call too for Big. I mean, as of right now, 9-match winning streak. A lot of the best of 3s that they were playing were all 2-0s. A lot of momentum by obviously doing very well at the RMR to be able to go 3-0 in that sort of portion and just to work some of that success forward. To think as well that a side like Big, who's even ranked higher than Entropiq in the ESL World Rankings, had to come through the open qualifiers where for Entropiq, they got an immediate invite.
Yeah, very contrary pass that we mentioned earlier on. Entropiq here by virtue of their appearances in the Tier 1 space. That'd be enough to get themselves past that finish line. So far, so good. But Big trying to clap back here. SMGs in on Lackey and Krad will again keep the economy limited for Entropiq as much as possible. And the sprays through will catch off Forrester. Another contact entry into that A bomb site. Lackey, next player to try and defend. He does get some decent damage, but tiziaN's AK gets the headshot instead. So 5-on-3, and already you can see Entropiq are backing off.
Yeah, they have to. They're always very difficult for the MP9. When you play aggressively in Donut, it's a very proficient angle to get a 1-for-1 and hopefully recover a rifle if you can. But once you actually get filtered through and you have to relocate onto the bomb site, you're taking that long-range duel from default, you're always going to have a tough time. And you just saw there, Forrester lost the fight immediately, meant that Lackey had to reposition. He doesn't really find anything other than damage. Big find their 7th, and now there's some composure. There's a few rounds in a row, a lot of players staying alive, a lot of money to work with. And round by round, try and see if they can sink themselves into a comeback.
And the key phrase you mentioned there was round by round. That's how you do a comeback. Don't focus on the next round and after that. I mean, there's still a little bit of breathing room for Big because they're still just 12-7 after this bomb goes up. But the same theory applies to whether it be 12-7 or 15-7. So round by round, piece by piece, brick by brick, build back into that comeback and try and recover against Entropiq. The round win that they're going to take right here is also encouraging because now their loss bonus has been knocked back quite a number of pegs for the Entropiq side, $1,900. So for Forrester and Lackey, it's probably a case they don't buy here.
Yeah, got to imagine, get as much out of what's saved, and then try and look for the next round to get all of the weaponry forward. Another tactical here for Entropiq, because realistically, even if you don't buy, you've still got pieces to work with that can do some damage. And 2 M4s and an MP9, if you're able to get an opening man advantage, if you're able to recover an AK, it could be a round in which looks winnable at certain situations. So they know it's not a throwaway round. We can actually do a lot with it.
Indeed they could, especially if they want to go ahead and commit the extra money to buy down Forrester into a 5.7. It's only $500. That would bring him into 1900 range. Wouldn't be impossible. M4s the SMG have will be the main highlights of the round. It's a case of whether they want to get that little extra upgrade or just save as much as possible onto the man. It looks like it will be no investment for the Entropiq boys, so opting not to go for that slight little extra risk and just take this round on the chin. M4s will be on Elian, currently making his way towards that B site. Nickelback in mid with the other M4. SMG for Krad position as the only defender of the A site. That might get a bit dicey if he's forced into long-range battles. But Big want to go to the B site, it feels like. 3-man boost. Okay, this might get real interesting. Elian can peer right the way over. Can he see ahead? Not with that flashbang in the way, and not with him spreading out towards lane.
This is a perfect position to get a boost up like this. An unorthodox 3-man boost towards the long side, and it might just grant the first pick.
I don't think tabseN and tabseN could ever be ready for this. See it from Kito's POV, but it could be a very easy picking in for the likes of Elian. Smokes down towards long and short. Flashbang going over. Again, Elian's going to get blinded by it. Molotov's up, and Kito reads it like a book. Headshot found. M4 down in the hands of Forrester without any Kevlar for him. And meanwhile, with all the emphasis on that lane entrance, the mid control's been abandoned, and Crimbo will cut off rotations to either bomb site.
And that wider jiggle just would have spotted it immediately. And with all those flashes coming through, it gave a lot of time to work with, to really position yourself to deal with that player. They've got Crimbo already very aggressive with a couple of players in the bomb, and they're taking some deep map control in towards spawn. This is completely undetected right now.
You want to think about the B side, though. The USPs of Lackey do peek out and does get that kill with Forrester's finishing job. But Crimbo and tiziaN able to trade. tiziaN finding Krad on the A site, leaving it all left to Nickelback. And the overwhelming burst fire removes him for the 8th round. The Big looking good on the comeback. A team that hasn't been able to bring their comeback, though, has been Copenhagen Flames. Just lost their match on the B stream 16-3 over against Mouse Sports. So yeah, we're starting to see the workings of that lower bracket qualifier match coming up again a little bit later on today. Meanwhile, here in the upper bracket, another tactical pause been used by Big, their 3rd one in this map.
Yeah, well, they know that they've gotten off to a decent start here in the second half. They've been able to deal with the anti-eco rounds fairly effectively, but the job's not done yet. They've still got a lot of pressure to build off against, knowing that they're going to be up against strong rifles. Krad always sort of being on the worsened weapon in comparison to a lot of his teammates, going down into the FAMAS in this sort of situation, allowing Elian to get the M4A1S instead. You got to think as well for Entropiq, are they going to be able to have Forrester and Elian consistently putting up the numbers like they did in the first half? Because I think both of them finished on about 17, so we actually haven't seen a pick from Elian in the second half just yet.
I think you're about right there. Forrester only getting 3 since that point. Elian slowing down. Maybe it's because he hasn't got the AWP in his hands. Entropiq have had some money troubles. And obviously we saw how impressive he can be with that AWP in the T-side half, so brought in by tiziaN and his T-side, burning alive to the Molotov usage coming down from the T-side line. They couldn't quite put on that smoke there, so Big will lose the entry.
Excellent protocol for Entropiq, just flames all around, bottom ramp, bottom of lane, and recovering that AWP, bringing it back into the side. And for Big, yeah, they're up against a side that doesn't have a lot of counter utility left. It's still an opening man advantage.
And smokes down here towards the lane entryways, in particular over at Cheetah. Nickelback can't quite find his line in. Peek out, catches Crimbo. Kito, quick trade though. Advantage still maintained here for Entropiq. A 4 versus 3. Could have been 5v3. Maybe even 5v2 at this stage, but they'll work with it. They still hold control.
A very decent kill coming through from Nickelback there, because not only does he get a 1-for-1, but he spots the bomb. He gathers more information, sets the B-site players up. And that AWP getting flashed off angles, so more information to work with. The Krad's playing that, and Elian might spot the window lurk.
Burst sees the two players, can't quite catch the full-on kill for him. tabseN is low and finally is finished off. So iTziaN, there's his first pick and a half. Smokes and flashes coming down for him though. Forrester trying to trade back on the A site, and with him falling, iTziaN will be forced to reposition alongside Krad with the AWP. Flashes going over to try allow tiziaN to exit out into the site. k1to goes for a safer plant, and this should be retake mode for Entropiq. A 3-on-2 that favors them, and they've got two players already on the site. Third man on their way back in towards mid. Now the only player left in tiziaN. k1to fallen, 1v3, sees the AWP, spray does damage, sees iTziaN, doesn't get the kill, and Entropiq are back on the board.
It just showed how important that first engagement was. Those mollies that came down towards the bottom of B, the opening man advantage, Nickelback getting the 1-for-1, and then even iTziaN's position. It's so difficult to be able to get traded there. When you're just giving the headshot pixel and you're spotting for information, he makes it a 4-on-2, spots that bomb coverage, and then just rotations come in really quickly. 13th on the board for Entropiq. They're getting closer to 16 now.
Yeah, only 3 more rounds to go to get there. Big were on the comeback. They can still establish themselves in this next round. They can keep the hurt up if they can win by taking all 5 players down. Great smoke reaction from Crimbo to allow the AWP to continue peeking in ahead of that Molotov thrown up by Entropiq. Lackey falling back out into the A side. It's him and iTziaN on the defensive this time, not leaving a single player like they have done in the past. tabseN hearing those footsteps. Is he ready for the AWP? Well, the AWP was not ready for him, it seems. Shot from the first player does not connect. The second one does, though. Smoke against the molly that comes in, not going to force him away. 48 HP, though. He's taken a ton of damage.
Yeah, typically you see with a single AWP round on the CT side that is playing out in candles, out or on B. The only time you get an AWP on A is when it's a secondary AWP setup and that you've got a hybrid player involved. So that caught them off guard, allows iTziaN to get their first pick. Entropiq still don't have a massive amount of information about the relocation though. Big Star starting to put some pressure onto Cave.
Walk forward. And with very little on the CT defensive, just got that one man backed up to long. Krad will try press back in and look towards the site itself. C2 players drop that bomb carrier, but k1to quick to respond. Also spotting Nickelback crossing away. The AK engages, could line up. 2 only gets 1 for it. Training game still pretty good for Big, but it's still down by a man. Forrester now. Next player up to task. The bomb will be conceded on the plant. CSGO heard of the center of the site, but the AWP picks him up. A 2 versus 2. Backstab in from Lackey. Unawares of where these T-side players are at. The AWP is watching tiziaN, not quite able to cover off his teammate. The AWP is out, and it's tiziaN alone. AK up against 2, knows where Lackey is, doesn't win that fight anyway. Entropiq up on 14.
A wonderful round there from Lackey. Just the way that he slows it down. He knows that with that crossfire being set, he's got to start clearing out the bomb site because iTziaN is waiting for over-aggression. He's waiting for that long peek to come through with the AWP. Instead, both players are actually quite center in the site. They're playing around the pillar, so Lackey has to be the one to engage, to make sure those jewels are being taken, and he ends up with 2. That's probably his highest impact round that we've seen from him in the entire map of Ancient.
It's a big one to find. Entropiq reducing the map win to 2 rounds now. That separates them. Big, however, with that bomb plant bonus back up on the guns for one more time here. Money starting to get seriously whittled down, though. They've got to take a win soon.
Yeah, even CSGO has been put into some very aggressive positions with the AWP to try and fight for an opening man advantage. Might be able to get it in candles. Of course he does.
iTziaN dropped. Good start. tiziaN able to follow suit on Forrester, so 5 versus 3 has been gained, with the A site also falling the same. Lackey left alone towards Donut. Might catch some players in the mid position with Nickelback covering it off. Krad overwhelmed by tabseN, though. Another good kill for him. Easy pickings for the T side, it feels like, as they just find the individual fights, win every single one. Even Lackey with a foot poking out of the smoke in from mid, dealt with by Crimbo, and Nickelback, he's in a 1v5.
I just saw how late the bomb was actually to cross going out towards A, so it meant that for Big, they had to start working with some of the individuals. CSGO with the boost up wins out that first fight onto candles, and from that point onwards, there's some success being found on the walkout from A main, the way that they're still holding the mid control and force out the fight of Lackey into Donut. Very well achieved from Big. The question is, Jay, is it too late?
Well, it might not be. They've gone away back into this matchup with Entropiq's economy being in the toilet, essentially. Look at the buyback for this next round. 2 Deagles, an SMG, a FAMAS, a Scout. It's very doable here for Big to take this round. Of course, it is same situation, vice versa for Entropiq. These Deagles have got to be on point, and Lucky already forced down to 35 HP out of the round by tabseN second duel. And Quito working in against Krad as the only B defensive player out there in Cave. If he falls, they can storm that B site and have no worries at all.
Entropiq have really got to try and bait a setup over towards A. It's quite heavy in that department. Knowing that Krad's solo, the best that he can try and achieve is slow them down and redirect them as such. Unfortunately, what they don't know about is just how many players are here in lane.
Oh, CSGO, perfect shot on Krad. Finally, he falls, and with him, the B site goes down as well. Nickelback, the closest rotator, isn't even bothering to it. The bomb's committed to site. They'll clear out all their avenues and just get that plant down without hesitation. So this will be number 10 for Big, and the best call for Entropiq is to hold on to these weapons, particularly the Scout and the SMG. Kevlar's also a bit of a bonus. Second stage, lost bonus, double eco status for Entropiq. They had to buy into this round. They won't buy into the next.
And they have to pick their moments, and in this one, you can't go for it. There's just hardly anything to work with in a 3v5, so hold on to your weapons. You can save forward going to the next round. Like you mentioned, they were double eco here, so they won't buy again, but it still means that they can recover more in that. If they're able to bring these weapons forward into the next round, maybe get a kill or two, you can look at that as a positive of, oh, okay, we actually got more in the second round than what we did here, so there's no point going for it.
Another good round for the Big side, continuing to mount up this defensive line. A 4-round deficit. This comeback is still on for them. It's still doable. And again, Entropiq, no harsher buyback into this round. USPs on Lucky and Krad. 3 players that saved. They'll invest a little bit in terms of extra utility for Forrester. $500 passed off to Krad in that smoke and that flash. The defaults are Big. Of course, firepower aplenty. Out towards lane, playing it slow this time.
Now, keep in mind, every single head-to-head, even on a map between these two, goes 26 rounds or more. We've always had competitive maps, whether it be best of ones, whether it be best of threes between these two teams.
Orp leaning in. Kill found by the AK actually of tabseN. Alien to drop the Scout out of play, so no sniper action. Does get picked up by Nickelback. Krad has found an angle on Crimbo. Lucky traded back by Quito. Nickelback's in their Deagle, however, turns it to a 3v3. Now there's guns for Krad to work with, and tabseN's caught looking the wrong way. Now it's a 3 versus 2. tiziaN can't find the trade as well. CSGO's low. Bomb on the center of the B site. Entropiq, don't tell me they shut this down from here. It's definitely on for them. The flank's found. CSGO's found. tiziaN drops the same. And a round they shouldn't have won is stolen back by the CT side. It's a map point for Ancients.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? That's payback for the first half. Remember we had that round from Big? Yeah, they didn't actually win the anti-eco, but they just had basic pistols, and they were able to get so many kills. That's the payback, and even more. The rifles being picked up, the AKs being saved in. What a mad round that was.
Yeah, that's going to suck. That is going to actually suck for Big. Because what turned into what could be a 4-round comeback into map point is going to turn into a 5-round comeback into OT at best. Entropiq a single round away from taking their pick. They've got Krad pushing so far forward. tabseN pre-firing the wrong position. Quito's caught as Krad gets that kill, falls back out of dodge, and defends the B site.
Oh, what a lovely angle that is. And for him to even have the patience to realize to back off when it's necessary. Nickelback prodding slightly aggressively around from tabseN's position. This could be a 5-on-3 if he engages.
Playing a dangerous game, getting close to that. Molotov doesn't give away the info to tabseN, though. He gives away info that he's close, though. Flashbang in. The T's work their way in towards that cave control. Will they commit wholehearted towards that B site? If they do, they've got to deal with the entire Entropiq force here. 3 players, the core of the team, ready to receive.
And there's hardly any util for them, at least. So there's that positive note for Big going in for the Xe that they're not going to be hit by the smokes and the incendiaries. A 3 on B, though. The crossfires are set.
Everyone freezes and waits for the earth to move. And it moves with Krad. CSGO caught 5-on-3. tiziaN finds his angle out towards Cave. Krad will end up dropping. Nickelback looking for his trade and will catch one. Not quite the second. And there's actually players falling for the CT side. So a 2v2 scenario. Grimbo gets that plant in. And Alien flashing Lucky into that B site a little bit late on the peak. Was a little bit mistimed with that flashbang overall. Second one can allow him to enter in towards the long position, though. See nothing once again. They have got a player that's watching that entrance, though. That's Grimbo. Spotted and sprayed down. All to tiziaN now. 4K on the clutch. I think that bomb is planted for the banger position. Can the CTs find an angle to play with? Working into the retake, they've got a kit on Alien alone. Taps it, spray back through, damage being done. AK swapped out to Alien's looking for an angle, 7 HP, he's dead to right. Swing out from Lackey, gets that frag, but he hasn't got time as he gets caught up on the wall. He'll try for it, but it's way too late, I think. Last second defuse, and it's missed. Big stay alive.
Oh my goodness, he got caught up on the wall there. That is so unfortunate in that situation. That looked like it was going to be it. He had the time available, but just could not get to the bomb in the right position. And Big, that's a lifeline. You've got to take it.
The huge one gifted to them. Because again, the economy for Entropiq is not quite there. One player at $2,000. Forrester buying into the SMG. There's Deagles out. A half buy kind of eco basis. They look towards guns in round 28. Big will get once again another 3 rounds. But the last time it was just pistols, Entropiq took those pistols to task and they got to map point off the back of it. Again, not impossible that they can win this kind of round. Big are aware of this. They've got to play carefully.
And this is now an opportunity for the taking here for Big. They realise, all right, we got a bit lucky in that last one. Let's make something of it. Let's drive these rounds forward, not get anti-eco'd like we did previously. Some pressure building, but still the AWP finds a connection onto Krad.
And CSGO with the pick back up, connecting to the first. Grimbo spotting another player onto Alien. Unable to get the full-on frag, though. Damage being done towards Grimbo actually by this Deagle, and Alien's doing a pretty decent job of it. If he finds that kill, then that would be a 4 versus 4 that's manageable still for the CT side. Continuing to blind fire, though. Might set things up for Forrester. Backup has rotated. They've decided that A is going to be the stat commitment, but Nickelback's going to drop for it, so advantage extended by Big here. The backstab from Lackey, unaccounted for until he fires away and misses his bullets against Keto. Now they will look to storm the A site. Alien's still firing away with that Deagle. Can't connect the shot, so Forrester with it all to do. 1 frag, 2 frags found. Switching out to the AK. Another player inbound from the donut position will try to join the main defensive. He's got the bomb, though. 30 seconds. Where does Forrester go with this? Big got to work against the timer. He's watching that back line in case there's another backstab inbound from main. Another smoke, you're right about that, but it depends if whether Big want to charge through it. They kind of have to at this stage. It will go down. tiziaN's going to get forced forward. Flashbangs in. Got to check the bomb. Grimbo wins that fight. And Big just hold on.
Oh, that's a close one. That was definitely a situation that you look at and think, geez, this looks promising, doesn't it? 2 smokes and an AK with a bomb territory with the time being low. And Big just know as soon as that re-smoke goes in, we have to brute force it. We just have to fight through it. And it just doesn't quite happen. Grimbo's able to deal with the last 15-12. For that to be an anti-eco, that was actually not bad.
Yeah, they did pretty good, to say the least. Big holding on for the time being, though. Entropiq, their guns out. The AWP on Alien. M4s from us set in. Now, if they could do as much as they did in that last round with a single SMG plus some tags on a Deagle, it's not impossible that this round could be the one that wins it for Entropiq. M4 in for Nickelback, catching tabseN. Molotov's in towards Cheetah means he can't escape. There's no more T-side presence. They're going to arrest him directly forward, though. Nickelback trying to win a second fight against Keto, unable to do so.
And that's the trade that they're looking for. And even for Entropiq, thinking about re-fighting in from the cave position, there could even be a boost up.
CSGO Zort peeks in. Krad trades him on a 1-for-1. 3 versus 3. That bomb isolated from his teammates, might have to start making his way back in from the lane control. There's no utility standing in the way. Who's going to meet who? Will the bomb meet the T-side? Will the T-side meet the bomb? Or will Krad meet the bomb and everybody else for that matter? M4 isn't up close. Looking for an angle. Wins a fight against tiziaN. Down to 2 for Big.
Oh, he's staying around. He's actually not going back towards a bomb site. The timing here for Keto just misses him, but he still might be able to find the pick. It's such a tight angle, but there it is. Finally, that forces it back to a 2v2, and they can get the bomb down now.
Yeah, tap to the back of the head. Krad didn't suspect them to make their way in from the ramp control. Now iEM moving in, smokes down, suppression. The AWP lands it though on his 22nd frag, looking for 23, and that will close out the map. A 16-12 for Entropiq. Looked good throughout. Big had their comeback moment, but all in all, it's still going to be a map pick for the CT side.
Just give iEM the AWP. I think that's what we've been waiting for this entire second half, Jay. Didn't see much of it, but that round is the one that closes it out. And overall for Entropiq, maybe it wasn't the cleanest of second halves. It's the result that counts, and it's the first map in the series that goes their way.
Absolutely, and we said again, this map pick for them was their map pick. It's one of their better maps in the pool. You mentioned it's most often picked by them. It's most often won by them. You saw in the T side how good it can.